And when I say old world, I do even mean Europe. Do you have any idea how barbaric it was? People were being skinned, boiled alive with new creative methods of torture. By the way, black, white, take your pick, for the wrong religion. Yes. Not to mention, do you know what they did? If you happen to be a guy who preferred, they were going to be cornering you. So Baltimore. The Baltimore school district has, and I have to say allegedly here because we don't have all the details, suspended a student. Here's what we do know. He did request, he did file a request to know why the flags were not up in his classroom. We do know that he was suspended. We don't know if that's all that's going on. We also know that members of the school board or the faculty or administration, quite a few were upset about it. Now, none of that should be in other words, a student should never have to ask for a school to fly a flag. And no one should be upset if a student asks for that. That's where I line up right now. And, if he was mouthy, that remains to be seen. But this student was allegedly suspended for asking, hey, why are there no flags here?
A Towson High School student has now filed a lawsuit against Baltimore County Public Schools after he says his rights were violated.
As Project Baltimore's Chris Papps explains, Parker Jensen believes it was unconstitutional for BCPS to suspend him for asking why American flags were missing in his classrooms.
He got suspended for very little cause. He did nothing wrong besides try to bring forth his First Amendment right and really enforce a Maryland law, which is to have American flags in every single classroom.
Yep.
Most shocking part about that is they were surprised he could actually read since he went to Maryland schools.
Yes, exactly. So the law, by the way, Maryland Code 7-105, it states that each classroom must be provided a flag and all students and teachers required to stand, face the flag, and recite the pledge. It also goes on to say any individual who commits an act of disrespect, either by word or action, is in violation of the intent of this section. So that's pretty clear, actually. It's not just there should be a flag. They're supposed to do the pledge, and there are supposed to be ramifications to not proactively respecting the flag.
Yeah.
So they've slid so far that this student speaks up and he's punished. Now, there are some people saying that he walked out of class to go file the complaint, and so he was suspended for walking out of class. You think he would have been suspended for walking out of class if his name was Raekwon? Right? Let's be honest. Let's be honest here. So he sued the school, or the district, I should say. He said his rights were violated, and he said that the suspension would affect college applications, and I guess he's planning on going into the Marine Corps. So,
is that true, though?
I mean, he believes it. They always tell you this is going to go on your permanent record.
Yeah.
Well, that's a little goofy. That the way the lawyer said it, like, oh, he's worried it's going to affect his college admission after the Marine Corps. It's like after you serve in the Marine Corps, you're not getting it told no at college admissions.
Yeah,
you have a GI Bill. That's a little goofy, but other than that, sometimes I have to say stuff like that.
No, I agree. I agree.
Hey, when you serve your country, they let you in the universities. Don't be gay about it.
He might be clout chasing, but the problem with the school board remains. I agree. We don't have all the details.
Just stick to the facts of, hey, this is wrong. I should be able to do this. Period.
And actually,
absolutely.
And you're right. We did want to get more information because this is a little bit murky at best. So we do have our on the ground correspondent Thomas Finnegan to hopefully shed some light on the situation. All right, Finnegan, what do you have for us for the love of... I said flag, Finnegan. I said flag.
Oh.
Tim, cut it. No, cut it. All right. I'm sorry about that. So...
He just almost gets it right.
Yeah.
They're open this early?
Well, they never go to sleep.
Oh, if you did say the other word, he would have been right.
Yeah. But
fair.
Yeah, I'm surprised that you're surprised. They're sodomite vampires.
Oh, that's right. If they go out into the sunlight, they'll poof.
Yes, exactly.
Just like their butts when they fart. Just
a poof.
A puff.
All right. So this doesn't exist in a vacuum, right? Let's contrast this. Do we have an apples to apples comparison? I would argue we do. All references available, link in the description as every show. The left, for example, in this case, they fight for your constitutional rights. Anytime the ACLU shows up and says that it is an issue regarding constitutional rights, you know it's the opposite. Like, they don't show up for a lot of cases like this, but they'll show up so that someone can put a burqa on their driver's license.
Right.
So in this case, what do we see from them? Well, we've seen them fight for the rights for students to chant death to America, to intimidate Jewish students, to illegally occupy buildings, by the way, to burn the American flag. Remember this argument like, hey, that's one of the great things about America is that you're free to burn the flag. Now, I think one of the great things about America is that you're able to voice your opinion freely. Right. I don't think one of the great things about this country is that you're able to burn the flag. And by the way, that's also not expressing an opinion. That's not the right to free speech. Some people could argue that is arson.
It's a hazard. It's dangerous.
So if you're allowed to burn the flag, wouldn't it say, okay, if that is your view, wouldn't you have the right to respectfully request that they honor their own code, their own rules, and have a flag in the classroom? Which one is more of a reach as far as a constitutional right? And where is the left?
Nowhere to be found.
Posting Ukrainian flags on their profile pictures.
Yeah, exactly. Well, pretty soon it'll be a Chinese flag.
Well, I mean, if some of the students were saying, you have to have a gay flag up in here Pride is during the summer, but there are other times where they honor gay people or trans people or lesbians. We've seen all the days. I doubt there would be any pushback. That's the whole problem with the state of our schools.
It's the American flag. This is our country.
Yeah, exactly.
You're teaching American history in these classrooms, and you got these teachers unions and all these people complaining that the Department of Education is being moved and disbanded and reduced.
Yeah.
But you want the federal government to pay for everything in your classroom and then not have a flag?
How about, well, I guess it's kind of a moot point because the Federal Department of Education is going to effectively be disbanded.
That's what I'm saying. People are complaining about it.
But it would have been if it was a tiered approach. How about, hey, your school gets no money if you don't have the American flag up in every classroom, and it has to be the only flag up in the classroom. Otherwise, no more funding. That would have been a good step, too.
It absolutely would have been a good step. And look, even if I try to put myself in the shoes of somebody that doesn't love everything that flag stands for, though I absolutely do love, I understand that there are stains on everybody's past in some ways, right? I get it. Wouldn't you want to go, we are going to strive to meet the ideals of what these guys said? What this represents. It's the stay and make it better argument that we have made against people coming to this country and just kind of fleeing their country to do it here. Instead, it's like, no, stay and make it better. Wouldn't that be the same thing for them? Like, don't take the flag down. Don't take statues down. Don't do all of that stuff. Use it as a learning opportunity if that's how you feel about it. I disagree with you.
Yeah.
At least just use it as a learning opportunity and say, these guys broke away from the greatest empire the world had ever known at that time and made something, and they believed in freedom, and they were imperfect people, and we need to strive to be better every single day. Let's live up to those aspirations.
Yeah.
Instead, it's like, rip it down. What are you going to replace it with? Nothing.
Wait, this is something else, too. People always feel like, I know America's not perfect. Sure, but you know what? If that's the standard that we're using, name me one other country that doesn't have a worse stain on their history. Let's go. Let's do it. What do you want to do? Where do you want to go? You want to go to any African country? I don't think that.
What is our worst stain?
Yeah.
What was that?
What is our worst stain?
No, that's
It's slavery.
Is it slavery?
It's slavery.
So,
Still in Africa, still going on. Middle East, still slavery. Oh, wait, hold on a second. Asia, okay, still slavery.
Yeah.
And we won't even get to the massacring of their own people. All right, do you want to go back to England? Oh, wait, actual colonization.
Yeah.
Okay. Hold on a second. We want to go to France? Are you familiar with the guillotine? Are you familiar with the methods of cruelty that were employed against their entire citizenry? Oh, and by the way, there also was slavery. Do you want to go to Canada? Oh, I would say a worse stain, by the way, even though there was slavery in Canada as well, would also be the fact that people would be punished or executed for being disloyal to the crown. We didn't do that here, at least. At least we didn't execute people for speaking out against, for example, the president. Right. So slavery kind of makes it a wash.
Do Portugal next.
Yeah, we could do Portugal. Which we still need to do that episode. Which empire was your favorite? Would you go with the Spanish, or would you go with the English, or would you go with Portuguese? Yeah, it's an interesting, different approach. But no one else says this. You know what's funny is the United States says, well, look, the United States is not perfect. It has a lot to atone for. And then other nations say the United States is not perfect. It has a lot to atone for. How about you shut up?
I don't think we have anything to atone for. I'm sorry. I don't believe in trying to go like, I think we've said over and over again, I don't know, in the abolition of slavery and in the process of trying to undo some of these things as we were like, hey, we need to get out of this stuff. I think we've done that. I think we're past that now. You acknowledge that it's part of our history. You teach that it's part of history so you don't make those same mistakes again, but you move on.
Right.
People want to live there. That's the problem that we have. And that's why I mentioned it, because if I'm in that frame of mind, I'm thinking, okay, sins of the past and stuff like that. And maybe that's why I don't like the American flag. I love that this country is going to be an imperfect people getting better, learning over time. You're right. There is 0 places on the planet.
Well, don't we deserve? And I get it. They'll say because you're a younger country. So sure, we don't have, like when people say, "Oh, look, lynchings, terrible." I got it.
Yeah.
Do you know the level of cruelty in Europe? Yeah. They created you know what the oubliette You've heard of that where it's literally a pit where they throw people to forget about them? Do you have any idea how many people were boiled alive,
the pit of
burned
Sparta?
alive?
That's a funny name. It sounds like they forgot, like, oubliette.
Yeah. Well, that's exactly.
I forgot about him.
Where's Gerald?
That's the level of cruelty. And people say, like, well, that's just because it was a different time. Okay, sure. But we could have carried that over here, and we didn't. We created a justice system, as imperfect as it may be. We didn't carry over the cruelty of even the. And when I say old world, I do even mean Europe. Do you have any idea how barbaric it was? People were being skinned, boiled alive with new creative methods of torture. By the way, black, white, take your pick, for the wrong religion. Yes. Not to mention, do you know what they did? If you happen to be a guy who preferred, they were going to be cornering you. You understand? Like, do we get any credit? We don't have any of that baggage?
I don't want to hear one more German person tell us about the stains of American history.
I know.
It's like, when was the last time the entire world made you change your flag?
Yes, exactly.
If any country should be abstinent from the mark of slavery, we were the ones that ended it.
Yes.
Yeah, why do we get zero credit for that?
And I used to get this too, being raised in Canada. You'd have teachers go like, oh yeah, well, they ended it in England before the United States. Okay, tell me about the British Empire. Oh, so you get to say, so basically, you had slavery, but you put it on the second floor where people didn't see it. Let's be clear about it. You were supported by slavery.
Yes, but we called that a colony.
Yes, exactly.
Yes, they weren't slaves in India. They just worked for nothing.
You could even argue, by the way, the reason we had the first war, our Revolutionary War, was an anti-slavery war because we didn't want to be taxed without representation. We were saying, hey, basically, we're kind of slaves. We don't want to be doing that anymore. Like, this is the most anti-slavery nation that has ever existed since its inception, since this country was conceived. Do you guys realize it took a little while? But yes, the founding fathers, there was disagreement, and most of them were saying, hey, at some point, we're going to have to deal with the slavery thing because it's pretty hard to reconcile that with all men created equal. No other nation had that from the beginning. Sure, we're flawed. We carried over some of the old world sins, but we abandoned a whole lot of them. I'm sorry. The United States is better than every other country in the history of mankind. We're better now economically. We are better. And yes, we're better morally as it relates to slavery. You want to talk stains? It's not even close. And yes, that even counts for Canada because your country is still a nation of faggots with very few exceptions.
We're the only ones that address our stains, too.
Yes.
We put it in our history books.
Yeah.
We shame our ancestors.
Yep.
And we
you don't see that in other countries.
Nope.
Yeah, no. Where is the Nazism in the German textbooks?
Yeah.
I don't think it's there.
I don't like to talk about that time.
Yes.
No.
I don't know what you heard, but it's not what you think. We were.
What happened? There was, I don't remember, there was a year called 1939.
Oh, that was.
No.
Oh no, that was the year my grandfather was abroad and he was making strudel in lederhosen. He's never heard of it. I'll ask him about it, but I don't think he's familiar.
Here, have another beer.
Yes. Bitburger, the best beer. So, we don't know the whole story to go back to the story about the kid with the flag, but we do know from the school district, they responded, flags have been installed in the classrooms that did not have them.
Oh, good. Hey, good for this kid.
Hey, that's a win.
That is absolutely a win.
It's a win for everybody in that school.
Yeah, absolutely. That is absolutely. And you know what? If the kid got suspended because he walked out of class, worth it. Why should it come to that?
Also a technicality, and that's a weak as hell.
Yeah, it's a technicality. He wasn't disrupting the class. He walked out to say, why is there no flag in this classroom? And by the way, I know because I've had to deal with this. One time in Canada, we had MRE, which was moral and religious education. Then it became ME, moral education.
And those meals ready to eat.
Yeah, and I had a teacher who was fresh out of college. And I said, I don't know what happened. We were talking about the gay pride. It must have been gay pride month or some other homosexual shit. And I said, I made some comment. Oh, the gay pride thing was going on. She wanted us, and I said, yeah, I just don't understand. Like if they want to, I'm 15. I just don't understand, why they have to have sex in public on floats. Like, I mean, we have the big Christmas parade here. Santa Claus doesn't show me his dick. I'm just saying St. Patty's. It's the only exception. Otherwise, I believe that any other day in anywhere outside of this 5-block, this radius, I would have to be a registered sex offender. So you can understand why people, it doesn't mean they hate gay people, why they may not want to see this display. I remember as a child, my father having to answer me. There was a man in a thong with fake rubber tits, and it was on the cover of, I think it was the Montreal Gazette. And she didn't know what to say. And then later said, hey, can I go to the restroom? Can I get a hall pass? She said, I will if you admit that you were wrong about the gay pride parade. I said, okay, well, you know what? I'll go down to the office. We'll see what they say. But she's like, no, here's a hall pass. And then I kept it so I could get out of class for the rest of my high school career.
Really?
I had a permanent hall pass. I put it in a spare locker, which I also stole.
Wow, that doesn't sound...
Wow, sounds like you're exploiting gay people.
Wow.
Yes. But I remember dealing with that. I said, what? Really? Oh, this is, if you were dealing with someone who wasn't willing to push back, I would simply have to say you're right because I have a different opinion. Comment below. What's your worst example of this? I know that if you were ever right-leaning when you were younger, you were up against this in public school. I guarantee you.
Oh, yeah.
And do you think that this student would have been suspended if he wasn't a white male with aspirations to be a Marine and he wasn't asking about the American flag? This one is a win for this kid. Let's put it in the column.
You definitely mad he asked where the flags at. We know you took them down and put the flags back up. You suspended from school, shut your commie ass up. Little homie here about to sue your ass off.
And I do feel for the young man. I hope the situation gets rectified. He can go on to have a great life. And if he needs help along the way, there are resources available. Oh, you're still here? And you're still watching this on YouTube? You've probably noticed something is missing by now. I'm not here. That's because the Live Daily Show is now streaming exclusively on Rumble weekdays at 11 a.m. Eastern. Tune in there, where nothing is censored.